Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to Write Your Light. I am Eva Andrea, and I'm so grateful you're here. This space is all about honoring your voice, your story, and the light that only you can bring into the world. And if you enjoy today's episode, it would mean the world if you liked, commented, or shared it with someone who might need a little extra light too. Your support truly helps this community grow. And if you're feeling called to dive deeper into your writing journey, I'd love to invite you to my writing circle, a warm, supporting space to write, flow, and shine together. And you'll find the link. It's waiting for you in the show notes. All right, let's jump in. Welcome back, my loves. We are ready with a new episode for you of Write Your Light. And settle in, take a good deep breath. Enjoy, because I have someone very special, very dear to me in the house today. I almost feel like crying already, because you're going to meet my sister from another mother, my bestie, my kindred spirit, Andrea Gardner. And I want to tell you a little bit about her before we dive in, because this woman is an enormous inspiration. She's an author, spiritual teacher, and the radiant creator of the gift that you will hear much more about. Some of you may even know her from the viral video that was called, what was it called again?
The Power of Words.
The Power of Words, yeah. And that has touched like 30 million hearts all over the world. So this woman, she knows something about the power of words. And that's why I just had to bring her on to share her wisdom and her journey and give you inspiration today. And I'll say Andrea is like a living poem. She is embodying light and love and joy and is such a magical creature. I love you so much, Andrea. Welcome to Write Your Light.
Thank you, Eva. Oh, what a blessing it is to be here with you, my soul sister. I really appreciate this chance to chat with you and everybody here. And this feels like a gift, actually.
Oh, thank you. Love that. So let's dive right in, Andrea. What does Write Your Light mean to you? What do you feel when you hear those words?
It's such a beautiful way to describe it. I love Write Your Light. It fits so well with the experience. I was reflecting on this. What does it mean to me? I see the light as coming in behind us, behind our hearts. It's like a waterfall of light that comes in behind all our hearts. And for me, inspiration is there all the time. It's like a constant waterfall. And I think what's beautiful is that we've all got our own little container or big container, whatever it is, whatever the vessel is that we use. And because we've all had different life experiences and we're all very different people, the way that we use that container to gather the light is different for each one of us, which is why nobody can ever write your book or create what you are here to create, because your container is so different to the next person's.
That is so beautiful and profound. Love the way you put words to this, Andrea. And I'm feeling like asking our listeners, if you're watching this on YouTube, share with us in the chat. What does Write Your Light mean to you? That would be so fun to hear. And I love what Andrea just said here. It's like so profound, so unique. So take us back for a little, Andrea. When did you start writing your light? How did your story begin?
I think I started writing my light when I was 2. Not really. But when I was 2, my grandfather said he found me sitting in the living room with a huge encyclopedia in front of me, and I was following the words with my finger. And I was just babbling. I was creating all sorts of nonsense words just because I really wanted to read and I really wanted to speak. So I think I can say that was the first moment. But so I've always had this love of words. But really, for me, writing my life, I've written all my life. I think I've kept so many journals. Whenever I move house, that's the thing that I will not let go of. You probably identify with this. I've got so many journals and I cannot bear to part with them because my whole life is in them, it's but I think really the journey started for me when I opened up that channel of inspiration was when I was in my late 20s, I think. I had a spiritual awakening. A book actually fell on my head.
Tell us the story. Tell us the story. I gotta hear that.
I went into a bookstore and there was about 4 books left on the shelf because they were closing down. And one of them was Conversations with God. Book 1. Actually, no, it was book 3. It was the big one. And I know that because I started to walk away because I wasn't really interested in any kind of religion or spirituality. And I thought that's not for me. And of course, it fell down, face down in front of me on the floor. And I picked it up, thought, no, I'll put it back on the shelf. So I put it back on the shelf and then it fell down again. But this time it hit me on the head. So I think it was trying to get through to me.
Uh-huh.
And that book just sat on my night table for about a month. And it was kind of glowing. You know how words glow? And I had this feeling every time I walked past it, I should read that book, I should read that book. And when I did, that opened up so much in terms of inspiration, manifestation, my spiritual connection really wakened up. And I had to read all 3 books 3 times. And it became like a Bible to me. I really, really absorbed those words. And now I've just gone back to reading it again. But for me, that was when it really began to make sense that words have power. Because I don't know, you probably all know the story that Neil Donald Walsh was venting one day and he just asked God, what is going on here? What's happening in my life? Why can't I get it together? And then he started to get some answers. So I think I was using writing like that for a while, and then things started to come through. So this is a theme in my life that I'm woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning by my writing guides. And once I just said to them, oh, come on, this is crazy. This is not very sociable hours. And they said to me, yeah, but this is the only time we can get through to you.
I love that. I love that
Easy
so much.
mind.
Yeah, yeah. And how amazing how you started to tapping into that waterfall that you started out with, through that awakening. Love that. It's funny, I just gotta say, I was sitting this morning reading in a Kabbalah book, and they speak about that the soul kind of leaves the body when we sleep, and they go to this the celestial academy to learn. And I was like, maybe that's why we wake up in the middle of the night to write.
Probably. We're studying even when we're asleep.
Exactly. So I love that. That's when the news can get to us. Sorry, I just got caught up here with that idea. Love that. And then something happened, right? Because how did it happen, with your first book? Can you take us through that amazing story? Because I know that is like a story that is so awe-inspiring and so miraculous that I just want our listeners to hear this.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I was journaling, keeping notes, and always thought I should write a book one day. It was a big dream to write a book, but I never kind of saw how that could happen. And then I had a business partner at the time. And we were running an agency, a communications agency, and it didn't work out so well. We'll put it that way. So I had a bit of a pity party one weekend and invited all my friends, and we drank quite a bit of wine and punched a few pillows and jumped up and down a little bit because it wasn't a very pleasant story. And then I thought, okay, I'm not putting my energy into any kind of negativity. You know, one weekend was all I allowed myself. And then I thought, this has to change. So from that day forward, I just started thinking, how can I turn this into a positive experience? I was doing a lot of writing at the time about that. And then I recorded a video with my ex-husband that was called The Power of Words. And we filmed it in a couple of hours, one Glasgow afternoon. And that video was about changing your words to change your world, and very much based on this kind of painful experience. And that was the title that came to me at the end of the video. And then I put it on YouTube, went off to Germany for a spiritual weekend, and came back, and my phone was full of messages from my web developer who was telling me that I needed to check my website because it had clearly been hacked. It had had so many views. And it turned out the video had gone viral that weekend. And it was one of the first videos to ever go viral. YouTube was pretty young at the time. And in a weekend, it had 1 million views. And it's now gone on to have 30 million and keeps going. But really, that was about the power of words. And it brought international attention to me, to the agency that I was then running. So yeah, and then I had a call from Hay House, who had seen the video and also had a recommendation from Dr. David Hamilton, who I know very well. And they said to me, this is an amazing video. It's really on point right now. Do you have a book that goes with this video? And I said, yes, of course. And I didn't.
Oh my God.
So that was the fastest writing project I've ever taken on, because within the space of 3 months, I'd finished the book. I was going out every day, writing in a cafe, taking all my journals with me, and my husband at the time wouldn't let me come into the house again until I'd finished. Like, he set me a limit of how much, I think it was 10 pages a day I had to write before I was able to come home. So it was a very good incentive. So that's how the book came about, and within 9 months it was published, and we were doing book tours and talks and all sorts. So yeah, pretty quickly.
And it's a beautiful book, by the way. Change Your Words, Change Your World, right?
Yeah, thank you.
I love that book, and I'll put the link for the book as well in the show notes, and for the video, so everyone can see it. What a magical and wild ride that must have been for you, Andrea. I can only imagine, from like overnight like that to go viral, and then to get this opportunity, and how universe just opened the doors for you, all in my world, ignited by the way you kind of did your inner work, and chose your words with intention, and yeah, the way you kind of met life. I'm so wowed by that, and I think this is such a testament to the power of words as well. And when you look back at this now, because this is now 10, 15 years ago that happened, right? How has your relationship with words and the power of words evolved? Do you feel you have learned something new these years, or?
Yeah, definitely. I think that was just the beginning. And it's interesting because it's quite a long time ago now. And when you look back on books that you've written in the past, you think, maybe I would write it a bit differently now. You know, I think that's just with the passage of time, because so much evolves. But I went on from that to really become fascinated by the power of words. And I retrained as a hypnotherapist, and well, twice actually I retrained as a hypnotherapist. Once with Paul McKenna. So I really became fascinated by not just the sound of words, but the vibration of words. Because when we speak with intention, when we speak from the heart, people feel it. They feel it because they resonate with it. You know, they're actually in tune with us vibrationally. So for me, it's really become clear that when you're in I'm very lucky because I'm now working in a health center in Basel, and I get to work with patients directly, with doctors and psychotherapists, and we all work together as a team. So they will refer patients to me that really they're not finding the answers that they need. And when they come to me, I'm able to provide a safe place for them to come to and to open up. And a lot of that is that actually preparing beforehand with the opening of your heart, and I say a few words, some sacred words, and I create like a holy space, I guess. But it's a sacred space. It's a very meaningful space, and they feel completely safe. So I really feel fortunate that I'm walking with the power of words now. You know, it's not just a theory, it became what I do. So yeah, I think that resonance, that vibration is so important because words are so dense, you know, that words are one of the densest forms of communication, I think. But if we can infuse them with that light, as you say, write your light, when you do that, it creates an alchemical change, I think, in the environment around you, in the person you're with. They can feel that, you know. It's like when you tuck your kids in at night when they're small and you read them a story and you make them feel safe and cozy and they're loved, you know. They know then they can fully relax. It's the same kind of thing. And now going on to create the gift. The gift is the next step after that. So that's we'll talk about that in a minute.
And that is so exciting, Andrea. I love us to hear more about the gift also, but just to sit for a moment with what you just said, because this was so profound. Uh, Also, I'm like, take notes, everyone. You know, how to let your words be lit from the energy that then they become alive, right? There's something about that kind of understanding that is so powerful, and that the words are in a way just uh, the transportation of the energy, right? That's kind of
Yeah.
what you're saying, right?
Vehicle, yeah.
The vehicle, yeah, exactly. But it's the intention and the energy behind the words that makes them so powerful, right? So then the gift came to you, and I must say I'm very much in love with the gift. I remember when it started speaking to you, and it was a skippy little thing. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I didn't it happen during one of our workshops? Is that
I
when
think maybe it did, yeah.
I was doing one of your beautiful practices
Uh-huh.
where you get to know the soul of your book.
Mm-hmm.
And what came to me was this lovely image of my youngest stepdaughter when she was 5 or 6, and she was dressed up in one of those ladybug costumes. She was so cute, and she looked so serious, which was her when she was little. And she sat in my lap, and she just said, "You have to write this book, and it has to be playful, and it has to be, it's got to kind of always have its own spirit." And that was the beginning of it. Um,
Wonderful.
it's evolved since then, but I hope it's still got that essence of playfulness about it.
It totally has. It totally has. So how would you describe the gift? What is the gift? If someone here is wondering and being curious, what is the gift about?
The gift is very simple. It's a 4-step process where you really get into the flow of your own abundance. So it can be used for healing. It can be used for attracting financial abundance. It can be used for relationships. But it's a tool that's used really to get to know yourself. And it's been having amazing results. So the people who've used it so far have paid off their mortgages and bought Teslas and all sorts of things. Financially, it's very successful. Others have had real success with relationships. Some people have had some healing experiences with it. It's quite deep, but it's very simple.
But I love that because, you know, the highest wisdom is often very simple. And one thing is to know it, another is to practice it, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I love that you're also creating teaching programs and all these things to kind of help us integrate it. It's a fantastic energy modality, I would say, the gift, right? And I'm thinking, like, if someone knows The Work by Byron Katie, it's 4 simple questions, right? And it's yet so life transforming. And that's what I feel when I hear you speak of the gift. I've tried practicing it myself, you know, and I know it works wonders. So this is super exciting. I'm so happy that you are saying yes to creating this for us.
Thank you. I realized the other day it's taken 7 years. This has been
Yes,
a very
yes.
long pregnancy.
Uh-huh.
But it is exactly 7 years. And the way it came to me was quite magical too, because I was really, should I talk about that?
Talk about everything. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
So that was on a walk. And I had the feeling that I needed to sell my business at the time. This was the agency that had had all the success, but it had become quite heavy. You know, it was a lot of responsibility. And I wanted to move on and be free and to do other things. So I was walking in the woods one day and I just asked actually the question, okay, so what do I need to know here? How can I make this an easy process? I'm open. And the whole process came to me during this walk. And at the end of it, I was just feeling so light. It was like a meditation that came in. I was feeling so light, and it was like, you know, when you go into that, you know this very well, when you go into that magical landscape where everything comes alive and the trees are talking to you and you know it.
I know. Yes.
That happened. And I just was prompted to say what I wanted, what I was trusting in at the end of it. And I just said, I trust that I will sell my business for this figure. And I came up with a figure that I needed by the end of this year. And this was in September, 7 years ago. And I got back home and I had a phone call from my business partner at the time who said to me, I don't know why you're on the top of my list today, but I needed to call you. And we hadn't spoken for a few months. Because do you still want to sell your business? And I said, oh, yeah. Are you interested? And he said, no, not me, but one of our clients may be interested. What would you want for it? What was the figure you were expecting? So I gave him the figure that I'd come up with on the walk. And he went, oh, okay, that's maybe a little bit too much for her, but let me call her and I'll come back to you. So 5 minutes later, he called me back. He said, yes, she said yes. But there's one caveat, one thing that she's asked for. She wouldn't be able to make the transaction until the end of the year. Is that okay for you? Which is exactly what I'd asked for. And that business was sold on the 31st of December. And the transaction went through just before midnight on the 31st of December that year. So
Wow.
when
So
you ask
precise.
for something, it's so precise.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder, you know, I can't think of any other way that that would have happened, actually. It was,
You knew you called it into being
yeah.
in this way. Yeah.
And this
I
is
feel
again the power of words, isn't it? We're so
it.
powerful, we forget.
Exactly. It's be light and there was light. You know, it's your divine power. That is kind of, but it's such a beautiful way to guide us into that process with the gift. So I'm super excited about that, and I can't wait to celebrate with you when you come to Denmark in June. We'll share more about that in my newsletter and later, but yeah, I'll put a link also so you can sign up for the event. But yeah, how are you feeling about that? Now it's getting real.
I know. Super excited. Yeah, a little bit scared, if I'm honest. You know, it's a big moment, and but it feels right. It feels absolutely right. This is the right time. Yeah, and I'm so looking forward to being in Denmark with you, and and the others. Oh,
Yeah, it would be awesome. Yes, and just to go back to, like you said, 7 years, right? And because you know there are many creative, soulful writers here listening to us, and I think there's something to learn from this. You know, 7 years is a long pregnancy, but it was necessary, right? And how do you feel that you have become ready to step out with the gift now compared to if you had done that right away? You know.
I feel it's matured. I really have the sense that we either have to live something in advance and then write about it, or we write about it and then we have to live it. You know this one?
Oh yeah, so much. Yes, I hear you. Yeah, and I think if you can recognize this, let's know in the chat, right? Because yes, we are being written, and life is writing us, and yeah. So you have been prepared, and that is so beautiful, and for holding the trust while it has matured and deepened and softened into what it's supposed to be is so beautiful. And now I would love us to just peek a little more into what writing means to you in your daily life. You said before that you have many notebooks, right? But can you say a little more about how do you do your conversations with the divine when you channel or write, or what does it look like for you? And what does it mean? Yeah.
On the day. Some days it's some days I write absolute nonsense, you know, and you just you just have nothing to say, and you may as well just go and feed the cat or dig the garden or something. It's just a waste of time to actually even try to write those days. Do you get those days too?
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, there are days where we are less inspired than others, right?
Yeah.
Or more inspired than others. Yes. But maybe there's something about actually giving ourselves permission to have those. And like, what is the most crappy thing I can write? I sometimes ask myself that.
I love it. Excellent. That's exactly it. And I think the artist's way was so good for me with this practice. I think with the morning pages, where you have permission to write whatever comes, and it's like emptying the container a little bit, because when you keep those notes and you look back over them, you realize the themes that you've been dealing with over the course of months, probably years, that come up, and it's fascinating to see them repeated again and again.
It's like a look in the mirror, right? When you do
And
your
it's
flow
not
writing.
comfortable, is it? I think that bit's not comfortable when you can, when you realize that you're not, you know, the next poet laureate or the next Julia Cameron or whatever it is. You're just not at on that day. But that doesn't mean to say that you won't be. It's just practice, 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 right?
Yeah.
I remember my spiritual teacher saying to me, Tom Hartman, who's written many, many, many books, over 50 books in his long career. And he said to me the first time I met him, "So you want to be a writer?" I said, "Yeah." And I was really excited and quite naive at the time. He's like, so, you know what writers do, don't you? He said, they write every single day. And it really doesn't matter what you write, so long as you write every day. It's like a muscle. It's like an exercise. So I see it a little bit like going to the gym. Sometimes it's, yeah, not always what I want to do, but something that I know I want, I know I must do. It's more like that. And then other days where it's just bliss, where you're in flow and you're completely aligned, and it just feels like, then it's like being a long distance runner, I think. Then you get into your stride and you go all loose limbed and you're just, you're running in the golden light then. And I love those days. You love those days?
Running in the golden light. Love that.
Yeah.
The flow, yeah.
Just in the flow, and then it's so easy. I think, why would I want to do anything else ever? This is bliss. Can I just do this all the time?
There's a total forgetting oneself when we come to that state, right? You lose yourself in the writing, and that's like, it's like a oneness experience, right?
Yeah. And it can be quite seductive, that experience, actually, because then you really think, well, why am I not making more time for this? Where you you really want to. I remember when I was 21, I was living in a writer's garret. It was like a little attic at the top of the building, and I romantically kind of thought it was like a writer's garret. It probably didn't look like that to anybody else, but to me, that's what it was. And I wrote for 2 days and 3 nights without stopping. And just to go to the bathroom or something, but not eating, not sleeping. And it really took me over. And then I lost the work that I'd been writing on. Completely lost it. I never found it again. But it kind of didn't matter, because it was the act of being in that flow, which was that was the prize, really.
Yeah, the gift of yes, I can imagine. Then that you have that ability in you to be that much in the flow. That's like something you take with you. Yeah. Wow, that's wild. Love that. So you mentioned in the beginning something about your muse, and I'd love to hear more. Do you feel, who's your muse, and is it different from day to day, or what does it look like for you?
Ooh, yeah, that's a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's different. I don't know if it's the same one every day. When it's channeled writing, when it's really guided writing, then I know I have Saint Germain with me. I know that. And sometimes Mary Magdalene comes in too. But for me, it's really, I have a fire angel. She's again, this came out in one of your workshops, I think, when you meet your
Yeah, you're the angel workshop, the angel inside. Yeah.
Yes, the angel inside. And I was surprised, because I was expecting this light, fluffy being to come to me, and it wasn't at all. It was very powerful. She looked like a supermodel. She was about 7 feet tall and beautiful. She had this gold dress with a big split up. She was very, very, she was lovely, and very fiery. And it was like sparks of fire were coming from her. And she was very clear with me that I needed to lean much more into her, into that fire in my writing. And that's actually what I started to do after that workshop, much more, really lean back into her. And that, I think, is what birthed the gift. Because it needed the fire and not this kind of floaty oneness, la la la. It was quite fire energy.
Love that. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's a fierceness in that. Yeah, so good. Thank you for sharing that. And I think that is Actually, today it's Mother's Day, right? And I was reflecting on today when we are recording that kind of the mothering and the fathering we need to do with ourselves. And it's like to bring both the masculine and the feminine into our creative process in the right places, right? If that makes sense to you.
That's a lovely way to put it. Yeah. You do that with your writing?
Yeah, I feel I can totally recognize that there comes a point when, after all the receiving and the opening and the listening and the intuitive guidance, that okay, now it's time to take action, bring it out there, man up, in the best possible understanding, like to lean into your more masculine divine energy as well. So it's like a balance, right? We need to find. Yeah, I can totally see that. So I'm so curious, Andrea. Now we go down some rabbit holes. I hope you're okay with that.
I love rabbit holes.
You know rabbit holes, yeah, we can do that, right? Because I'm curious, how do you see earlier life connections with what you're doing today, your mission of bringing the power of words into the world today, through the gift, through your work in different ways? Do you see any links to earlier lives?
Earlier lives, as in
As
past
in
lives or
past lives, yeah. Yeah.
I have a feeling I was a scribe in a past life. Yeah, I really feel there's a strong, what's the word? It's like a push that comes from behind, just urging all the time, just to write, just to create, to produce, and to teach. Now, recently, this is the most recent one, is to teach. That's not been part of not my conscious mission before, but now it's, I'm coming up for a significant birthday. I think 56 is a big birthday in terms of your creativity and what you bring into the world. So it feels like now it's coming out even stronger. And yeah, I feel there are definite links to writing, and living very monastic lives. I'm sure I've been in many monasteries and convents, and
maybe that's where we met.
I'm sure that's where we met. Yeah. But this kind of this need to share sacred wisdom, or to bring it now, feels very important at this time in our history.
Yes, I love that. Thank you for sharing. And many who are listening here are light workers, and they can recognize this, I think, sometimes unexplainable calling to bring your words to the world, or to serve in a certain way. And sometimes, yes, it is related to some gifts that we have cultivated through lifetimes. We've been like prepared for this, right? But now, of course, it's the power. Now is this is where it happens. So
this is what we signed up for.
yeah, totally. I had recently I had like this insight that I was working in the library of Alexandria, and before it burned, and that's part of that. I also was a scribe, and that's partly why I have this enormous passion to take care of the sacred books. We need to take care of them. We need to protect them and get them out there. Yeah,
this is gleaned from so many different lives and different people, and so much wisdom. I agree. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it was like a new thing for me. I've seen other like threads, or because it's been kind of almost hard to understand, why is this such a strong mission, right? But it makes more and more sense, I will say. And our souls are guiding us all the way, and it's such a beautiful, magical journey. And you're such an example of this. I love how you have also, this is like one of the things I admire and find so inspiring about you, Andrea, that trust, surrender, faith in your guidance, and how you have kind of just really said yes again and again and again throughout your journey, stepping more and more and more into your power, and sharing all your wisdom. So I'm so grateful for you and the inspiration you are. Yeah.
Same. Can I
Oh,
just reflect that back to you as well?
thank you. Yes. And before we wrap up for today, I would love to ask you, some weird questions.
Oh, yes. Bring it on.
And I think before I do that, I will ask you, do you have a little encouragement for any soul sitting here listening to us, feeling a calling to write? What would you say to them?
Oh, yeah. I think, or I feel really, writing is such a blessing, actually, because you really get to know yourself as you write. So I would suggest, or I would encourage anyone who wants to write, not to write for anybody else. Never to write for anybody else. You're writing for you. You're writing to understand, or you're writing to, you can imagine it's your best friend, or, if you want to write for somebody, but really you're writing to you and the creator really. This is an exploration, so don't be shy about any of it. It's all in the mix, it's all okay. And I've been amazed at when I've written things and thought they were not useless, but that I couldn't see how I could use them in any way, and they've come back in when they've been needed, or they've been repurposed for something else, or it's amazing what comes through. And so that's why I save everything. But yeah, don't be scared of it. It's I think the blank page can feel a little bit intimidating if you're not in the habit of writing, or you don't practice so much. But just write anything. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter. Do it for the joy of it, and if you have a crappy day when it feels like pushing rocks up a mountain, then that's also okay. That's just actually priming you. It usually means you're going to another level. Actually, if you get a day like that, there'll be a breakthrough shortly after that. So just keep writing through it, and yeah, just do it every day.
Wow, this was such a profound advice. I couldn't agree more. I love it. Thank you for putting words to this so beautifully. And yes, about the the breakthrough that comes after the breakdown. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Wow, what an encouragement! And you can share in the chat if you are ready. I am ready to write my light, right? Take the invitation. Yeah. And it's so true how we befriend ourselves when we write. We really do learn about ourselves, and suddenly there's gold on the page to share with others as well.
Yeah.
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 So before the three weird questions, they're coming soon, I promise. But how can we connect with you and your sacred work and learn more about the gift and everything? Do you have a link for us so we can go to?
Yeah, sure. I'll supply the link, but it's best to go through my website. It's probably where you find everything. I am also on Facebook. But I can supply you with that. But the website is andreagardner.co.uk. That's the easiest way to get to me. And then there's all the information about the gift and what's coming up with that. And you can sign up and keep in touch. And yeah, that would be lovely.
Awesome. I'll put that link with everything for us in the show notes as well. And yeah, I'm so excited about your journey and about your amazing offerings. Also, people should go and read your book. And also, I mean, the gift is the next big thing. And I can't wait to see how that will take flight into the world. It's such a gift. Yeah. So, well, now here we go. I want to hear, what's your most epic procrastination story, my dear?
You know this story.
I had to dig it out. Yeah.
Brilliant. I'm very good at procrastinating, especially if I have a writing deadline. I'm super good at it. This is when my house gets cleaned. It's when I go for long walks, everything. Actually, anything that I can do rather than write. If I have a deadline, I will do it. And the best story is when I cleaned not just my car, but the engine of my car.
I love that.
I had a beautiful car. It was a cabriolet and a Mercedes, and I loved this car with a passion. And I thought she really needs my care. So I lifted the hood and I cleaned the entire engine. I mean, it was spotless. It looked like it had just been driven out of the showroom. It was so clean. And afterwards, it took me probably about 5 hours, I think, 6 hours to do it fully. And afterwards, I was so pleased with myself until I realized it was a major act of procrastination and I hadn't written a word.
It's fantastic. It makes me feel so good about my own procrastination. I would love for the listeners to share, how do you procrastinate writing? That could be fun to hear.
Yeah, that would be
Yes,
good.
share with us. Yeah, please share with us. So we are so human, all of us. I love it, and it's part of the dance sometimes. And who knows? Maybe your writing became so much better after all that cleaning.
Obviously.
Yeah, of course. So to the next question. If you could have dinner with anyone in any timeline, you know, now living or before, who would it be and why?
I think it would be Jesus or Mary Magdalene. I think it would have to be. There's so many questions, and I would just love to be in their presence. But I I think, can I have more than one? Can I have somebody else at the table? I'd have Freddie Mercury there as well, obviously. So I think this could be quite a good party.
This is such a good mix.
Entirely different ends of the spectrum. But I think Freddie would be so much fun. I would want to know all about his life, and yeah, because I think he had a lot of fun in his life. But with Mary or Jesus, I would want to know how the healings happened. I would want to talk about the Aramaic language and the power of words there, because that fascinates me. And yeah, and just to hang out with them all would be amazing. And can you come too?
Yeah, I totally want to be there too.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. I think we would really have a blast. Yeah. And I love how this says so much about you, that you want Jesus, Magdalene, and Freddie.
Yeah, it's such a good mix. I probably have a writer or two in there as well, but I want you there for sure. And you can bring your guests. So who would your guests be?
Well, Jesus and Magdalene for sure. Yeah, I'm very curious about them too, and I have also questions for them. And then just to throw in something maybe a little unexpected, I would maybe bring in Frida Kahlo. Because she also fascinates me. Yeah, so I mean, we can go to places, right? Yeah, everything is possible. So I'm fascinated by how she turned her pain into the most beautiful art. That's one of the things, and I like her style.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have a party. Now, what is your favorite word right now?
It hasn't changed, actually. It's the same word, has been the same word forever, and it's mellifluous. It's one of the most beautiful words because it means sweet sounding. And it comes from the Latin word for honey, which is mellifluous. And to me, it just rolls off the tongue. And it has a vibration to it, which I love. So yeah, that's my favorite word.
That's so yummy. I didn't know that about you. That
really?
You have that as yes. I love that. And it really underlines what you're saying about the vibration of the words, right? Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. And I want to see favorite words in the chat as well from our listeners. What is your favorite word?
I want to know what yours is.
And why?
Yeah. Do you have a favorite word?
Well, I have a great love for words, so I have many, but I do have a thing for flabbergasted. Just because it makes me laugh. And it's like a word that doesn't belong in the English language. I feel it's more like Netherlands, but it's like, I don't know. I just like to say it. It makes me smile. Flabbergasted.
Flabbergasted. You say it so sweetly. Flabbergasted.
You flabbergast me, Andrea. Oh, thank you so, so much. Do you have a closing word, something you want to share before we say thank you for today?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to quote my favorite line from the I Ching, which is, be the guest of the unfolding. To me, that's just, yeah, sums it all up. If we can be the guest of the unfolding and not the host, life flows much more easily.
Mm. Love, love, love. Thank you for giving me the title of this episode, Be the Guest of the Unfolding. That's what you are embodying. That's what you are showing us. Thank you so much for being the guest of your unfolding and for inspiring us all today. Love you so much.
Love you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here with us. And if you want to have a meeting with your divine muse, go to my page, www.eva-andrea.com, for a guided writing meditation loved by thousands over the years. Thank you for listening, everyone. Share this episode with your friends and hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. So much love.